Sana's advanced portfolio, and I'll be analyzing it. This is her homepage, and I really like what she did here with the images from her music video as the background. I think it's very creative and something I want to incorporate in my own. I also really like what they did in their music video. I think she executed it perfectly. I think it was shot beautifully, and also I really like that it had performative aspects, but also had a storyline on the adolescents, teenagers, and I really like that they used themselves as their artists, since it's just fun in general, but also it just links to the theme of adolescence and growing up on, and that's what their theme was basically. This is their digipack. I really like what they did here. They had many different forms of mixed media, and I really think it was creative that they used their own images here from where they shot their album covers, but also they had many different forms of media. So they had CDs available, but also digipacks and also posters. I also really like the CDs here. Super aesthetically pleasing, and I think it just, all these show how they want to be interpreted as a band, basically. So a punk rock, very cool indie type of band. This is the posters, and I really like that they had some type of intertextuality to like the vintage British rock bands from like 90s, and also here it's like giving movie poster and music video poster, and it's very cool and enigmatic, and I think it's very creative what they did here. Album cover shot beautifully, I love it, and also I really like what they did with the debut interview. I think it just gives off like a personal type of vibe on how they want their band members to be represented, and also I've never seen anyone do it before, so I think it's also very creative that they have an interview, because I think it just gives an insight on how they want to be represented. This was their Instagram. I think that I really liked how they kept their aesthetic going and the lighting. I also really like the promotional visualizer. I think it's super creative what they did here. It just shows the band members' personality more. But also here, the Spotify canvas, they're very creative with how they want to be represented and where they want to be represented, and I've never really seen that before, so that's something I also want to incorporate in my own site. This is her research page. I think I really like that she kept her aesthetic here, and she goes very in-depth with the type of music videos, and I think it shows in her final music video, since she does have a lot of inspiration coming from the codes and conventions, as you can see here. I also really like that here it's super duper aesthetically pleasing, and it just shows how the band is from like a blind eye. Here also super informative, very simple and quick. I really like it. And I also like that she had many different types of mediums, so she has many different types of platforms that she wants to show her information from. Amazing information, super duper easy to read, and I think that's sometimes you just need simple. She goes very in depth with all of her information, and that's something I really want to do in my own research page, since I think it really helped her with her music video final, since it just shows like how she wants it to be interpreted. Her social media research page, I really like what she did here. She was super informative here, but I also think it was very creative that she put her own analysis on the social media page's feed, so that's something very cool. This was the digipack research. I really like what she did here with how she interpreted it in her own way in her own digipack. I think it was a lot of intertextuality coming from this, for example, the CDs, but also the drawings. And I think that her digipacks was made to convey a meaning, and it really shows in her research that all these that she has researched do convey meaning, and I think it was very well researched as well. Also here, preliminary task. I really like this page, since it was off aesthetic, but I think it really represented Carly Rae Jepsen's I really like you aesthetic. So I think that it was also super well researched. She really showed all the mise en scène and the editing and how she would interpret it on her own, since it will make it easier for her to interpret it on her own, since she was very deeply researched in the props and costuming, but also the location, and also what she needed to use, like technical equipment, to make her a lot more prepared for it. And I also really like that she fully analyzed the shot types, and I think it's very informative, and it shows how she's very into detail and could also help with her own preliminary task. And I think it did, since her interpretation was very well and very accurate. Her evaluation was also very good. She said she had a lot of technical difficulties, and I think it also helped her with her own music video at the end, since I think it was something that she needed to work on, and then she executed her own music video really well with it. For example, the color grading, but I think she also goes full in depth here with the scene-by-scene breakdown on evaluations that would help make her final music video really go to plan better. This is her planning. I really liked that this just basically goes into the aesthetic of how the band is represented, and I really like that she stuck to the aesthetic, even with team members. I also really like that they showed the crew list and what everyone did. It just shows a clear understanding on how they filmed it, basically, and also just gives you a plan. It just makes it easier for everyone else. Shows everything here. They go really fully in depth into it, and I think that's really good. I think they executed their inspiration very well, and very cool. And they had inspiration and intertextuality from Romeo and Juliet, and I think that's something that is very creative, since it's not very in their narrative, but I think that they still executed it very well, and influence from the youth, and also I think that they interpreted it very well, since they wanted to basically provide like adolescence type of vibe. This was their visual aesthetic, and I think it's very cool that they showed all these aesthetics to us. They go very fully in depth, and that's something I want to do in my own planning. So yes. I think this is like the photographers that they want to incorporate for their digipack, and I think that they replicated or took inspiration from it very well. This was her super in-depth concept and pitch. They really showed how they wanted it to be structured, a performance and narrative, but also the songs, and also the key message on how they wanted to be interpreted. So I think that's very cool, since they planned it very well and they interpreted it and executed it perfectly with how they did their music video. They also had a lot of planning, and I think the planning really helped them. This is their message, and it's live while we're young, but pay attention to what is around you. I think I really like that they had a key message on what they needed to work with. So also, it's very important in this day and age. They also planned it very well with codes and conventions and how they wanted it to be in a genre sense, but also how they need their staff and props as well, and also the audience and who it's signalized for. Also, distribution, I really like that they have a lot of different mediums, and it's like they're basically producing a real music video. Here, also very cool, but had sketches on how they want their pictures in their feed to be drawn, and I really like that their feed was very similar on here as well. Storyboard, so I think that they executed their storyboard perfectly. It's very accurate to how they want their scenes to be, and also very aesthetically pleasing as well. This is their Instagram mockup. I think that they executed it perfectly. It really shows their vibe as well on how they want their band to and the artists to be represented. I also really like that they had a G-Pack sketch. I think it's very good that how well they have planned it. It's very creative as well, but also they have like here some research from real people as well. They even have technical equipment that they need. So I also really like that they had like to capture the old school aesthetic. I think that it's very creative as well. And they had many different types of camera lighting, but also some cameras, and yeah. This is the location as well. I think they planned it very well since they did use a lot of locations in their music video. Props, they go very in-depth with the props since they do have a lot of props and they do have a lot of scenes which do include a lot of people. So I think they have to plan it really well since they do have to direct it as well. The costuming on how they interpreted it, I think they reinforce this very well as well since all of these basically do match their vibe. I really liked that they have it for like each type, like the top, bottom, outerwear, legwear, shoes, accessory, and bags as well. I also really like that they have these styling tools for their hair since hair was significant, I think, in their music video. Also makeup as well, which all these were planned and executed perfectly. I think that it's very cool that they tried to do an underwater scene. I think it's super duper creative as well. And also it just challenged. I also really like that they have different types of costumings across the music video. So these are like the core characters, not the band characters. And I really like that they still go in depth with all these. I really liked how they laid out their outfits, and it was very clear and concise on how they want their outfits to be and how they want their outfits to be represented as these like teenagers, adolescents, party rock type of vibe. Of course, they go in depth with all the hairstyling, the eye makeup, the tools, and products, just to plan them very well, since they do have a lot of actors, so they did have to probably manage a lot of makeup, and they have to provide a lot of clothes for it as well, since their planning was very good. I think it was executed perfectly. I planned it basically. Copyright acknowledgement, I think it's very important for it to be legalized, and I think they have these shoots in sections. So this is like the performance shoot, and they go very in detail here, but also this is their own interpretation on it, and I really like that they gave examples on what they looked like. So this is like a behind the scenes shot, and I think it's very cool that they gave us that, and I would do that in my own production page, as well as a little bit of evaluation. I also really like that they had these behind the scene photos and a lot of variety of images, so professionally shot images, but also normal behind the scene images. So when I do in my project, I want to challenge myself a bit more. Also here, behind the scene shots, very cool, shows clear interpretation on how they're doing it, behind the scene influences, so intertextuality from Euphoria and everything. I also really like that they have outfits shown here from what the actresses are going to wear. And I also really like that they changed the lighting from here and showed us the transformation from the room from here into here. And I really like that she has shown us a lot of behind the scenes images on the settings, but also the makeup, and also she had a few evaluations in her production as well. She goes super in depth into the party scene as well, like she has in all these, which I think is super good, and it really shows that she really is that she really did do the work for it, and I think that's super amazing. And the scene, they also had a lot of evaluation and also some before and after on how they created their own backdrop, and I really like that it was created by themselves. I think it gives more of a personal feel to the music video, which is something I really want to interpret in my own music video as well. And then I think they were very like vibe heavy, so I really like that they wanted to create a setting that could really interpret how adolescence and growing up teenager life was shown and interpreted, and I think that they showed it very well in their settings and in all their scenes basically. And I really like that she was having fun while she was shooting, and that's very the key message of her music video, but also it just seems like a very good atmospheric view. This is a shoot 6 at 7-Eleven. They used many different settings, so they had to do a lot of planning, and I think their planning went on really well since they did successfully do their shoots very well. So shoot, I think it was shot really well, and I really like that they showed all the different types of shots, and it just shows how well planned and well researched they are, and also it's very creative, super duper that. Also, the choices and design style, so they had a lot of in-depth research on why they wanted to use this font, and I think that's very cool and memorial since it's something that fonts are often overlooked. Here, the posters, they have a lot of research and a lot of in-depth detail in all of these, and I think that's something I really need to do in my production as well. Super cool that they have some mixed media, CDs, and everything. It's just like amazing, all the textural and political, emotional, it just shows everything. This is a CD panel, the designing process. Oh, it's very small, but still a lot, fully in depth, in detail with everything. Final design for the background, which includes the album's original photo. I think the evaluation here also has a lot of research on the demographic and also basically the adolescent screen time usage, and it just taps on real world problems. And I think that's something that's super important right now. And I really think that they did tap into the problems. So I think it's super cool that in her evaluation it gives me more research information on it, and I think that's something I want to do in my own. Also giving, so here it just shows each shot how they want it to be interpreted. So here something is political, and it just like is like a mini like evaluation, mini like slide of her own on how her shots should be interpreted, and I really think that's something very creative. Here again, once again, really liked it, the in real life audience response. And this just shows the codes and conventions on how they want to be interpreted. So I think that their inspiration and their own was very similar, and I really like that they've done it very well in all of their inspirations. And I really like that she put her images together from inspiration to her own still shots. I think it's super duper amazing that she has done that, and it just shows the audience a better perspective on which interpretation or intertextuality she's trying to represent. I also really like that she has researched a lot on the hair and the costuming to intertextualize the band, basically. So Bikini Kill, and they've basically done it really well. They've replicated it really well, and I really like that she gives us like side by side comparison shots, and that's something that I want to do in my own as well. And her journal,